Hello, what is going on, guys? Today I am here to talk about 10 underrated aspects of the Splatoon series. Let's just get into it. Now, one of the most obvious ones I think is kind of underrated that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is Splatoon's movement. Splatoon has really good movement. Like, honestly, it makes the game. Like, if you're not interested in playing Splatoon, honestly, play it just for how good the movement feels, dude. It's so good. Like, not to mention, like when you get out of squid form, it's so quick that you can just like go right to shooting, pretty much. Like everything feels so fluent with the movement. They nailed it. Squid roll is really helpful. Squid surge is it has its uses. It's not as useful as squid roll, but it has its uses. Yeah, everything about it just feels so good. Not to mention the fact that you don't need to reload in the shooter because you're reloading while you're in squid form because you're recharging your ink or regaining it, whatever, however that works. Uh, that's how it works. Like as long as you are using your squid form enough, which you definitely are going to be, considering how that's what you're probably you're going to be spending a lot of your match doing is in squid form because that's how you traverse the map. Uh, you really don't have to worry about reloading, which I think is really cool. And let's move on to the next one. Coming up next is we have modes. Modes. I think modes are really cool. I think Splatoon has a lot of really good modes. Like Salmon Run is a cool horde mode. I wish it had an infinite. I wish it had like an infinite thing, where it's like it just kind of goes on until like you can't just win anymore. Because like what would be really cool that I really wish they would implement in the Salmon Run is like kind of like a Call of Duty Zombies esque mode where it's like you don't have to worry about collecting power eggs, but like you just need to survive. So it's like instead of collecting power eggs, like literally you just have to try to survive as long as possible, get to how many waves. But whatever, that a video for another day. Uh, but yeah, I think Splatoon actually has a lot of really cool modes that I think personally deserves more recognition. Like tower control is a really good mode. It's kind of like oh, what's it called? I think it's called like what's it called? It's in like paladin like siege. I'm pretty sure. If you've played paladins, you know what siege is. In my opinion, it's a better design mode, considering the fact that any team can pretty much get on tower and then push. Cause like in siege, right? You have two teams, and like you're kind of racing. You're racing to like claim the payload because whoever claims the payload gets the push. And if you don't get the payload before the other team does, then even if you kill everyone, you cannot push it into their base to win. You strictly have to defend. I like how tower control. It's like if your team is on the tower, it goes to the other team's base. I think it makes the game a lot more fast paced. That's like Paladins is fun. I just like Splatoon a lot more. Yeah, not to mention you also have things like Rainmaker, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like I guess you could say it's kind of like God, what would you say it is? I don't know. Rainmaker's not really like a lot of other modes I've seen in shooter games. I think it's really creative. You get like this super weapon, but even though it's really powerful, it's really slow too. So like you're really vulnerable if you don't know what you're doing. I think it's really cool. You have Clam Blitz, which goated mode, second best mode in the game in my opinion. No other shooter game has a mode like dogs. You're interrupting me. All right. As to what I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. Uh, Clam Blitz. There's no other mode in any other shooter like Clam Blitz. I'm just gonna say it right now because they ain't built different. But yeah, Clam Blitz is a really good mode. I think it's probably like the best mode for competitive. And since I am a comp player, I'm not a good by any means. I don't believe myself to be a good player. I'm okay at best. But I think it's best for comp because of how I think it's more balanced than any of the others, which I think is really cool. Then to the last ranked mode you have Splat Zone. It's kind of like Hardpoint from Call of Duty, but it works a little bit differently, considering the fact that instead of just like standing in an area, and like kind of, and just kind of having to stay there until like it eventually moves. The splat zone doesn't move, and it's like instead of just having to stand there, like you actually have to like paint over it, meaning that you can't just kind of like camp there. You just like kind of camp in the thing. Yeah, I think it works really well. I think it works a lot better than Hardpoint does in Call of Duty, just because like, okay, you don't just have to stand in a certain spot. Like you actually have to like actively keep control of it, by making sure that your team's paint is always on it. Which, granted, you're a lot of the time especially in competitive, you're not going to be spending a lot of time in the splat zone. You may think because if you get the splat zone, you want to push up a little bit. But anyway, yeah, really cool modes. I honestly have to say, Splatoon has some of the best ranked modes I've ever seen in games. Not to mention, the casual mode side it is kind of lacking. Turf War, you kind of just have like, if you want to like a casual player, you have like Turf War. That's about it. Turf War's fine. It's a great beginner mode, and I think it's fine to like. I use it to like warm up. I don't play it consistently though, just because I think ranked modes are just funner. Because I like having an actual objective than just paint the map. I think it's really fun. Table Turf War is really cool. I haven't played it too much, but when it first got online where you could like play with other people, I did beat one of my friends at it, and I'm still proud of that because I have no idea what I'm doing in that mode. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to talk about. I guess Tricolor Turf War too. Tricolor, it's fine. I wish it was available more often and not just for the latter half of Splatfests, but it's fine. It's good. I think it should be a regular game mode because, in my opinion, Tricolor is way better than regular Turf War just because you have another objective besides paint the map. Like, paint the map is still, like, what you have to do, but there's also the ultra signals you have to worry about, which is really cool, and I really like the idea. I think if they balance it more, they could honestly turn it into a ranked mode. There's like a few things they need to work out. But as a whole, I think it could work really well as a ranked mode. Maybe not 3v3. Maybe not like a team. Maybe not like 3 teams, but like say like the ultra signal in the middle of the map, and then like after that, it kind of like spreads out. I don't know how they do it. I just know that it probably wouldn't work with 3 teams. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say for the modes. Overall, I think Splatoon has a really good mode, and I don't really hear a lot of people talk about it. So, yeah, modes in Splatoon, very good. Next up, we have lore. Splatoon has a lot of really good lore, in my opinion. I think the lore largely gets overshadowed by things like, what's it called? By like the game, like multiplayer and whatnot. But Splatoon actually has like a really good lore. I'm not an expert on it by any means. There are people who can explain it way better than I can. But however, I am really interested, and I like watching lore videos about Splatoon just because I think it has a lot of interesting lore, like how, like Inklings and Octolings exist. Kind of like the world itself. I'm gonna get more in the world of Splatoon later. But however, yeah, this is just kind of... I really like lore, and I wish more people would talk about it, because it's really cool. Alright. Next up, we have just how creative of a concept Splatoon is. Like, Splatoon is the most creative shooter we've gotten in... ever. Because, like, most of the time, like, yeah, sure, it's not... Like, you have, like, Call of Duty is, like, the most standard shooter. Like, there's, like, Halo... And Halo's, like, more creative than it, because, like, it's like, oh, it's space-themed, you have, like, jumps and all that. But, let's be honest. In terms of creativity, nothing is topping Splatoon. And, not gonna lie, I used to always, whenever I talk about Splatoon, or, like, to my friends, I always want to say, like, I wish more people, like, more, like, game developers, like, if they're planning on making a shooter game, would take a page out of Splatoon's book. And Square Enix must have overheard me somehow, because they're making Foam Stars, which is literally just Splatoon with a new coat of paint. So, I'm not... but when I said that, Like whenever I say that, I wish more shooter game developers would take a page out of Splatoon's book. I mean, like, I wish they get more creative with concepts, not literally copy and paste it. But yeah, that's kind of what to say about that. Really creative concept, and yeah, this is just really cool in general. All right, halfway through this list, and we got one that not gonna lie, I actually needed a little bit of help for this video. I just got a little bit of help because for a while there I just couldn't think of anything. So I actually asked Prochara on Twitter. I DM'd him and I asked him, hey, what's something that you think is underrated about Splatoon? And he said weapon variety. And you know what? I agree. Splatoon has a lot of really good weapons. Weapon classes, I guess you should say. You know, because it's not like just generic, shooter. You know, it has like things like buckets, which it has like buckets, literal swords, buckets, swords, dualies. A lot of really cool weapon classes, bows, paintbrushes. A lot of really cool weapon classes. You know, what more can I say? It's just, I really do think that like weapon variety is something that Splatoon definitely doesn't struggle with. I mean, in terms of balancing said weapons with proper points for special, that's up for debate. But I think it has really good like weapon variety in terms of, like there's like I feel like there's something there for like if anyone like if you just kind of you don't really want to like do anything too special, you have, like the generic shooter. Yeah, like the generic shooters. You want something that's kind of more like a shotgun orientated, or something that like, can get like one hits. You have like blasters and even like things like Tenebrella has a pretty reliable one hit now that showed actually works. But yeah, it's overall Splatoon 3 has a lot of weapons, and even the Splatoon series in general just has a lot of weapons. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say on that. Yeah, I'm running out of things to say. Oh god. Special design. This one's gonna be short. The special design in the Splatoon games are better than most shooters. I would argue they're better than all shooters, actually. They have some like specials are similar to specials, that is. Because I know in games like Overwatch, I haven't played Overwatch myself, but I have heard that like specials in that game act as effectively nuke buttons, which isn't balanced whatsoever, but okay. Well, yeah, I think Splatoon has really good special design. Wait, did I say balance? I'm gonna say design. I am. Alright. I'm going nuts. But yeah, Splatoon has really good special design. Mainly because its specials don't act as nukes. I mean, granted, Tenna missiles is annoying and should be removed from the game. But besides that, a lot of the especially in Splatoon 3, a lot of the specials have really good design. So there's not much negative things I can say on that. Next up, we have world building. This one's also gonna be kind of short. Splatoon does a great job at getting you attached. Why am I clapping? Splatoon does a great job of getting you attached to the world, I think. I think it handles its characters pretty well. I really like the lobby. I know some people don't like it. They prefer just to have a menu. I think it actually goes a long way. Because, like, if without the lobby, take in Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, for example, right? When Tartar is trying to essentially destroy, when Tartar wants to use the statue to destroy Inkopolis, as a player, I don't think people would really care about Inkopolis as much if we just had like a menu and never got to actually explore the city. But we do, and I think it works to great effect. I think it's really underrated. Splatoon has a lot of great world building in it, and I think it should be recognized more for it. The catalog. Okay, I'm going to talk about the catalog in Splatoon 3. I'm not going to go into in-depth because I kind of want to turn it into its own video, because I actually think I can. But the catalog, to put it simply, it is a battle pass done right. Specifically for, like, a game that you have to pay for. Like, I like what Nintendo did here, and I want other game developers, like, if they want to implement a battle pass into their game, like, if the game costs money to buy, make it like the catalog, Like, you can still earn stuff from it. Like, you still earn stuff. It effectively acts as a battle pass, but it's just free. That's what I want to see more if, like, people want to do battle passes in, like, paid games. You know, like, games you actually have to, like, pay for, not just free. But, like, free games, I understand why the battle pass costs money, because, you know, that's how they make their money. You know, they aren't making a profit off free-to-play games exactly because people downloaded them. They're free. But yeah, I think the catalog is really well done, and take notes, game developers. Characters. I think Splatoon has a lot of really strong characters in it. There definitely are some underutilized. Agent 4. But for the most part, I think it has a really strong cast of characters. I want to see more of them. I can't wait for the... Oh, God. The side order... I almost forgot its name there. The side order DLC to come out, because looks like we get to see more of Agent 8 in Pearl Marina, which I really am excited for. I think Agent 8's a really cool character. I think Pearl and Marina are also really interesting because of Octo expansion and how much we actually get to learn about them. And I can't wait to see what they've been up to since then. It looks like it's gonna be pretty dark. I hope they at least mention Agent 4, so that way, you know, Agent 4 actually is acknowledged for once. Like, seriously, Nintendo, what happened to Agent 4? What did you do to my boy? Alright, that's enough of this. Alright, this next one doesn't really... It is kind of more due to what I do on TikTok with Splatoon. I power scale Splatoon characters in a thing, and people always get mad at me in my TikTok comments saying, "Oh, that character couldn't... That Splatoon character couldn't be this character." Shut up! Don't downplay Inklings and Octolings. Alright, this one's just kind of here just because of how annoying it is to have comments in almost like every power scaling video talking about how, like, oh, that they'd get like one shot. No, they wouldn't. Pay attention to the games. But yeah, that one's just kind of there. Just also the power scaling thing is just kind of here because I couldn't think of anything else. So yeah, I think Splatoon has a lot of underrated aspects about it, and I think I've talked about a good majority of the things I think are underrated about the series. Once again, credit to Prochara for the weapon variety one. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Oh boy, editing is gonna be fun.